In 1870, a 31-year-old bookkeeper in Cleveland, Ohio, controlled just 4% of America's oil refining capacity. By 1880, he controlled 90%. By 1904, he controlled 91% of production and 85% of final sales. His name was John Davison Rockefeller, and he did not merely create the largest monopoly the world had ever seen. He invented the operating system for concentrated corporate power that still governs your life in 2025. The gasoline you pump, the two-day packages Amazon drops on your porch, the prescription drugs you swallow, the search results you trust without thinking, the mortgage you pay, every one of them flows through structures Rockefeller designed. Vertical integration that owns the entire supply chain. Horizontal consolidation that eliminates or absorbs every rival. Regulatory capture that turns government into a silent partner. The corporate trust that became the modern holding company. And tax-exempt philanthropic foundations that buy legitimacy while quietly shaping education, medicine, and public policy for generations. Standard Oil was supposedly broken up by the Supreme Court in 1911. The celebration lasted exactly as long as it took the stock certificates to be reissued. The pieces are now worth trillions more than the original whole. ExxonMobil, Chevron, BP, these are not competitors. They are great-grandchildren of the same beast, reassembled over a century. The monopoly did not die. It replicated, mutated, and conquered every major industry on Earth. Amazon, Google, Pfizer, BlackRock, JP Morgan Chase, Vanguard. They are all running Rockefeller's source code, updated for the digital age. This is the true story of how one man built the invisible architecture of modern economic control, why the famous breakup made him vastly richer, and why 114 years later you still wake up every morning inside the machine he designed. John D. Rockefeller was born July 8, 1839, in upstate New York. His father, William Devil Bill Rockefeller, was a traveling snake oil salesman who bigamously married multiple women and abandoned his family for years at a time. His mother, Eliza, was a devout Baptist who raised her children on iron discipline and the belief that God rewards the righteous with worldly success. From his father, young John learned cold-blooded deal-making and the art of never showing your true emotions. From his mother, he absorbed the rock-hard conviction that he was divinely chosen to bring order out of chaos. Monopoly, in his mind, was not sin, it was stewardship. Crushing competitors was not cruelty, it was eliminating waste so that mankind could be better served. He kept meticulous ledgers from childhood and tithed exactly 10% of every dollar he ever earned, convinced that God had selected him to organize industry the way Moses organized the tribes. In 1859, Edwin Drake struck oil in Titusville, Pennsylvania, and the greatest speculative frenzy of the 19th century exploded. Thousands of wildcatters rushed in. Prices swung from $20 a barrel to 10 sequels in weeks. Refiners went bankrupt overnight. Rockefeller, then 20, watched the chaos from Cleveland and made a decision that would change economic history. He would stay far away from drilling. Drilling was gambling. Refining was a choke point you could control. In 1863, he invested $4,000, every cent he had, into his first refinery. By 1870, at age 31, he owned the largest refining operation on Earth, yet still only 4% of total U.S. capacity. That was about to change forever. Other refineries bought barrels, paid railroads, and prayed for decent prices. Rockefeller bought entire forests in Michigan and built his own barrel factories so his barrels cost 15 cc, while competitors paid 50 c. He laid his own pipelines, bought hundreds of tank cars, purchased warehouses in every major city, even acquired the factories that made the glue for the barrels. Most famously, he forced railroads into secret rebate agreements. They paid him cash just for the privilege of carrying Standard Oil, while charging his rivals double. He could refine and deliver kerosene cheaper than his competitors could buy the crude. With that cost advantage locked in, he moved to Phase 2. Horizontal consolidation, forever remembered as the Cleveland Massacre of 1872. Over 6 ruthless weeks, he visited every refinery owner in Cleveland. "Or I will drop kerosene below your cost until you are bankrupt, then buy your smoking ruins for pennies." Most sold immediately. A handful resisted. They were destroyed in months. When the dust settled, 25 of Cleveland's 26 refineries belonged to Rockefeller. He had jumped from 4% to roughly 25% of national refining capacity in a single season. He repeated the formula city by city: Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, Baltimore, New York. In 1882, his lawyers invented a weapon more powerful than any refinery, the Standard Oil Trust. State laws prevented one company from owning assets across state lines, so Rockefeller created a new kind of entity. 42 certificates were issued to 9 trustees, Rockefeller and his closest allies. Those certificates controlled the stock of dozens of supposedly independent companies in every state. The trust produced nothing, refined nothing, sold nothing. It simply owned everything. This structure became the direct ancestor of every modern holding company: Alphabet, Berkshire Hathaway, Meta, Amazon, BlackRock. The corporate form you live under today was born in a Cleveland law office in 1882. Rockefeller had become the richest human being in recorded history. His inflation-adjusted peak net worth in 1913 approached $400 billion, more than Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and Bill Gates combined. The public finally revolted. Ida Tarbell's devastating 1904 series in McClure's magazine exposed the secret rebates, the price wars, the spies Rockefeller placed inside rival firms. In 1911, the Supreme Court ruled Standard Oil an illegal monopoly and ordered it dissolved into 34 separate companies. The press declared the octopus dead. Rockefeller played golf that day and told reporters, "Buy cheap and sell dear." He knew something the public didn't. He personally owned roughly 25% of the stock in every single one of the 34 new companies. Pre-breakup Standard Oil shares traded around $660. After the breakup, the combined value of the pieces soared past $2,000 per original share. The forced dissolution tripled his fortune almost overnight. The 34 babies grew up and began marrying each other again. Standard Oil of New Jersey became Exxon. Standard of New York became Mobil. Standard of California became Chevron. Standard of Indiana became Amoco. In 1999, Exxon and Mobil merged back together in the largest corporate merger in history at that time. The monopoly that was broken up had quietly reassembled itself richer and more powerful than ever. But oil was never the real product. The real product was the system, and the system was designed to be copied. Amazon is vertical integration on steroids. It owns the warehouses, the trucks, the cargo planes, the cloud servers competitors rent to stay alive, the streaming service, the smart doorbells, the grocery chain. When a third-party seller has a hit product, Amazon copies it as Amazon Basics and promotes its clone above the original. Google shelters inside the Alphabet holding company structure invented in 1882, making meaningful breakup almost impossible while optimizing taxes and shielding liability. Big Pharma funds 75% of the FDA's drug approval budget through user fees, and literally drafts the regulations that govern itself. Textbook Rockefeller-style regulatory capture. And then there is the final masterstroke: philanthropy as reputation laundry and long-term policy control. In 1913, facing massive public hatred, Rockefeller created the Rockefeller Foundation with an initial gift equivalent to $7 billion today. The foundation avoided estate taxes, funded universities, and literally rewrote American medical education to favor patented pharmaceutical medicine over traditional and natural approaches. Johns Hopkins, the University of Chicago, and dozens of others were rebuilt with Rockefeller money and taught Rockefeller-approved curricula. Today's medical system, where doctors lose licenses for prescribing vitamins instead of drugs, is a direct creation of the Rockefeller Foundation. Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, George Soros, and every modern tech billionaire simply downloaded the same template and pressed run. You feel the extraction every single day. Your gasoline comes from ExxonMobil or Chevron, Standard Oil great-grandchildren. Your online purchases flow through Amazon's vertically integrated empire. Your questions are answered by Google's 92% search monopoly, higher market share than Standard Oil ever achieved. Your social life is mediated by Meta's family of apps. Your doctor was trained in a system designed by Rockefeller grants, prescribes drugs from companies that grew out of Standard Oil's chemical divisions, and sends the bill to insurance giants using the same holding company structure. Your savings sit in banks whose corporate DNA traces straight back to the 1882 trust. The average American hands over $13,000, $15,000 per year to corporations running Rockefeller code. Over a lifetime, that is $750,000 transferred upward. You cannot meaningfully opt out. There is no mainstream gasoline outside the cartel, no mainstream healthcare outside the Rockefeller-shaped system, no major tech platform outside the trust structure giants. Rockefeller's competitors died broke. His system did not die at all. It evolved, replicated, and now owns every major industry on Earth. The machine he built only grew stronger after his death because it was never dependent on one man. It was structural. You live inside Rockefeller's world not because of a shadowy conspiracy, but because his method is simply the most efficient way yet discovered to organize large-scale industry at global scale. Competition is a sin, he said, meaning competition is wasteful, duplicative, and destructive of capital. Consolidation brings lower prices, higher reliability, and vast efficiency. Once you see the Rockefeller system, you see it everywhere, and seeing it is the first step to no longer being its blind fuel. Welcome to Rockefeller's world. The machine is 154 years old, and it has never been more powerful.